Patrick. Hello.
Hello, Patrick.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Is the audio quality acceptable?
Yes.
Okay. So fingers crossed we won't have all the problem we had a few days ago. So I propose to start. So today I plan to transfer my knowledge, which is very small, on the voice application. We will see first of all where the voice application is in the system, what it does, what's the main job. So that's one of the components we have the less knowledge about. We just fix a few CR that I will list after. The transfer, this is quite a huge project because it has a long history of teams and modification made on it. Some part of the code I think is more or less considered as being obsolete, and we will see that modification is perhaps not easy. That's a component that should have been refactored a long time ago. It hasn't been done, so we have to live with that. So voice application is all the telephony user interface component. So each time you call your voicemail, each time you call for any voice actions control, you are dealing with the voice application. Voice application is inside a dedicated web application like the Chameleon, but it has its own Tomcat server that it share it with some other application. We will see that just in 1 minute. So there's a lot of voice application. Some I suspect that some of them are no longer used, but we can't remove them because we don't know which customer using them or not. And some new voice application has been added quite more or less recently, like the way to make your routing management through telephony user interface. Supervision, you can join or leave a supervision group from telephony user interface. And of course the main aspect of voice application is accessing your voice messages, playing them, deleting them, as well as your greetings. So that's what is listed under the responsibility of the voice application. So deposit of message, recording, all the telephony activation, all the configuration parameter of telephony of a user can be activated or deactivated using voice application. One number is an old application. If you see one number here, it's an old application. I don't know anything about that. I just know it's a very old thing. Okay. That's the home page TUI. TUI is, I would say, the entry point menu for all the actions that is played to a user. Personal attendant is what we call the automatic attendant. I heard that you have transfer automatic attendant, which is a separated component now, but for release under OT11, automatic attendant is inside a voice application. So if you have a bug to fix on automatic attendant before OT11 or before OT12, I need to check. It is inside voice application. If it is after starting OT12, it is the dedicated application that Yves Blanchard has transferred this week or last week. Okay. The link of these components of voice application. So it needs, of course, configuration data for the user. So of course it needs CMS access. It needs DTA because DTA is still storing the greetings, for example, and CMS for all the configuration data, which is quite huge for all the voice application subject, because it contains not only the voicemail profile, but all the telephony prefixes, all the supervision access for setting joining a group or whatever. Of course, it needs the mask. It accesses the mask through our RMI protocol to get the message, the voice messages, and it is hosting the the VMMC servlet for all the PPR play, pause, record session, media session. All the media session then is linked to the media server. So the media server, first line we send a voice XML flow over HTTP to the media server. Then the media server will, using SIP protocol, will communicate with the mule SIP server to make all the calls to the device of the user, create a session, and maintaining it. Okay. So that's more or less what it has as a link to external components. Of course, we also need to access all Chameleon web services because when a user wants to log, we need to check or to create a session. If he wants to log in a supervision group, so we have to invoke the operation on the Chameleon web services. This is old web services. This is it hasn't changed since. So this is the official old SOAP API, and of course not the REST API. There hasn't been any recent development of on VoiceApp to switch from old SOAP API to REST API. So all the services are SOAP method invocation. Okay, so what else can we access? Okay. So as I said, all telephony user interface interaction, it is packaged as a standard web archive using Maven artifact. It contains, as I said, many more or less small voice applications. This small application consists mainly in some navigation between Java server page. That's more or less forwarding between page and then preparing a voice XML flow to send to the media server. That's more or less what it does. If you are familiar with JSP technology, the Java server page technology, there are extensions of the language which can be made through the use of Java standard taglib. It's more or less XML tags custom XML tags that you embed in what we call a TLD. So you will find that voice application is using some TLD. So the most well-known extension is one coming from Apache, which the JSTL core, Java Standard Taglib, I would say, I suppose. And all this to finish as a voice XML flow. So I will put some documentation. I have put some documentation on voice XML in my team sharing folder. I will have a look to them during this presentation. So as I say, automated attendant is inside VoiceApp up to 11 and standalone after. Why? Because they needed to refactor it, they needed to split. I'm sure Eve, I talked to you about that. They need to split between teams, between R&D, and between professional services who need to customize this automatic attendant from some special client requests. So I'm going to show you first of all where it is on the server. Tools. So you must have heard from Michel that we Chameleon team are using a dedicated Tomcat instance hosting the infra services Chameleon. So that's a whole web application where the only web application is API. In fact, that's what you access when you type in a browser API. So the main access point of the web application is that one with all the documentation, and all the rest and SOAP services are under this high-level tree. For voice application, it's not exactly the same. We are in another web application called Infra Web Apps, where you have several small applications. All the authentication, I don't know if Michel has already transferred it.
Not yet.
Not yet, okay. Where you have also the automated attendant that's have been removed from voice application to make a dedicated small app. You will find also all the IP-Touch application. I talked to you about that when we had we had a transfer on greetings. I told you that greeting management user interface is available now on IP-Touch. So one of these two, I think it's ECC Noe. This is the web application that the IP-Touch access. So you will find also the greeting management inside that application. That's the old My Assistant, My Messaging, My Phone. That's the old web application. My profile is not there because my profile depends on CMS. So when you access this, there's a link to my profile in OAMP, but it is seen from this main web application. It is seen from web apps too. Unified logging is more or less linked to all authentication, so I suppose UDAS, directory research, directory access, so I don't know what it is. And the voice application, that's the web archive that we are dealing with. Voice application is more or less, as I said, very simple Java server page. We will see that in the Eclipse project after. And as you can see, quite a lot of them. For example, things to manage your voicemail, things to the supervision, dedicated to the supervision, to the routing management. Some are more or less obsolete. I think PPR, as it's done, is more or less obsolete. It's now the main application which is doing the PPR. And so the name should give you the indication more or less of how to access that. Okay. Configuration in a web application can be defined in the WebAnv folder. So you will find the web application startup configuration file, which is the web.xml. In that .xml, you will declare some servlet that will be instantiated at the startup of the web application. You can define also filter The common case is to redirect the authentication filter to something specialized for that. You can pass also a lot of parameters, and you can list, I think, all the servlet that will be instantiated here. You can give an order, you can give a priority. Some I don't never heard about the Snoop servlet. Don't ask me what it is. I've never heard about. Okay. Some are dedicated for some specific actions, like something for SMS mail notification. But for our subject, the main servlet is the entry point, where you can see that the init parameters is, I suppose that it's voice application, entry point, and overflow console, the URL for accessing the service. My phone is the old, an old application I've never used before, so I won't tell you much about that. Yeah, that's where the PPR. I think it's no longer maintained, my phone. I think it's obsolete now. That's more or less. You can define also in web.xml all the error management, error page, how can they be handled, depending the exception, that you can generate a custom page, custom Java server page. And that's for the web.xml. Hold on. Some more configuration file can be found in the classes top level page. There are some properties from depending the language. The truss also, that's where you are going to change the log level. I'm going to check if it's okay at the moment for us. Debug, I put that debug, which is, watch out, very verbose. Don't leave it on your own mockup. Okay. So that's the log configuration file. What else? I don't know what it is. This is some generated classes. We will see that in compilation. Some other configuration. This is the file that is put on Apache web server to make the reduction between the Apache's access and to make the alias to our voice application. Okay, so if it works like Chameleon, this file is read by Apache at startup. Okay. What else? We will find all dependency there. More or less Chameleon web services. Chameleon web services. So CMS for CMS access. HTTP client, of course, because we have to send the voice XML flow to the media server, and some API services API like the telephony API, the Martin routing, messaging API, and so on. Okay, what else? Tags, don't ask me what it is, I forgot about it. The TLDs, as I said, is the language extension. Taglib is the language extension of Java server page. We will see a few examples. Some TLD is more or less something that define a tag, like prompt, and give some attributes. Okay, attributes, there's one tag which defines a prompt break XML attribute that has all tag that has all these attributes. Okay. that's the web application. If I go back now to the Eclipse project, we will have a look. Voice application is hold on. Voice application is in that repository. ICE HJ classical voice app, and as you've seen, we made a few modifications. We had 1, 2, perhaps 3 bugs being fixed in it, but it's rather stable. So before that, only 7 months ago, and that's it. New version. Okay, so if I come back to Eclipse, the Eclipse project, if we see the pom.xml, so I know Pavel is an expert in Maven now, aren't you?
No, Pavel, I don't know. I will ask him.
Okay, so this is the POM configuration file, so where you should find that change compared to all the other. This is a WAR web archive. So web archive is, it has to respect some format, like the default web application entry is under source main web app. So if you define this as source folder, it should contain some mandatory folder like the webinf and the web.xml folder. So we respect that, and it can contain also a metainf folder which contain the context. Context is some information on the web application, the way it is loaded and how to configure it. So there's not much things at the moment, just saying that which path the application starting, which path is the application starting, and that's it. So the 2 folders are mandatory, and this structure is more or less mandatory. The classes is the generated classes. As you will see, there's a few classes to generate. The TLDs, we had a look inside Eclipse, is a bit more friendly, user friendly. And the index, I don't know what the index is doing, just a very silly home page saying nothing, because that's not where we access the web application from. Okay. If I come back to the POM, we said that this POM is a WAR. This is obsolete, so this is no longer the software factory server. As you can see, it is still in 12 version. So since we haven't made any specific OT13 development on it, the POM is still on the 12 branch. As we can see that the parent of the POM is still the 12 development branch. The only fix we had to do was in 12 version, or if it was in 13, it was compatible with 12. So no need to create a new branch, and no need to create a new environment. This is more or less classical. That's the Maven assembly plugins, Sourfire plugin for test, alarm generation. Yeah, one thing important. Java server page, in fact, is just a tag language, but beneath that tag language, it is really Java code that is generated. We will see that on the server later. But in most, the default behavior is not to compile these JSP pages. So here, the previous team has decided that it would be interesting to have pre-compiled version of this page, just in case there's a mistake in it. Otherwise, there's no check, and at runtime on a real platform, when someone tries to access a faulty page, it will generate the error at that time. So that was, of course, clever, trying to check that compile of this page is going all right. The Maven plugin made to compile, I think, is quite old. It is still in our repository, but I think it's quite old. So you can change for a newer version if it has problem, but you have to be aware of that. This is the plugin to generate the WAR. So what it does, it excludes a few things from the WAR. It includes some more directory that are not standard directory, and some so you can customize it there. Okay, this is some obsolete POM configuration. This is validating XML. I talked to you when we did the audio wave that there was a strong interaction between audio waves and voice application. In voice application, you will find the XSD file that defines all the supported audio wave local and messages. The key, in fact, the TUE key are defined in this XSD. So there's a few pages that are dedicated to audio wave management, okay, and that's all the dependency of the project. Okay, more or less classical. You don't need to specify the version for each dependency, since it is managed by the parent POM, okay, the dynamic ICE. Okay, this is no longer deploy can be used. Please don't ask me what it does. Check style. I'm not doing much check style on this project, so I don't know much about this. Okay. Now, what we can do is just running an install that will make some very small unit test on the project. Just think I had a look these days, and the test is just testing CMS entity objects that are used internally, configure to retrieve configuration, so it does not match. As you can see in red in my page, it is compiling all the JSP pages. So if there is a mistake, so it will make a fail on the build. Okay. Okay. A few warning, which is not taking in account, like saying that watch out, you switch to Java 8, so this option is no longer valid. Don't ask me what it does, but it's just a warning. So the classical test structure, as I said, the test is just more or less concentrating on all the CMS entity, even empty sometimes. More or less checking the entity, that's all where the tests are. All the rest is quite short test, you can see to do. And there's one test servlet, which is the root for accessing entity manager. That's all. ICVA, so ICMS, and there's some mockup to make to prove as a test environment. So that's mockup services, and all class. This is a way to run all the tests in one go. Up, okay, and not much thing. DTR client test, and that's more or less I must say I never had a look in that area. So if we go to the main code of the voice application, should be built if I refresh it. Yeah. So it has generated some source, the alarm, as usual. The alarm is generated from XML file. So to send to the alarm server. What else can we find in the project? Attic. I think in English attic means no longer use. I think that's from the American previous team that started to think about complete unit testing, and they did not go very far. So they started a few things. Okay. Concerning the configuration, we will have a look to the configuration file. I don't know much about the configuration file. I know only one quite well, which is that one, because I had to solve a bug recently. Where is it? Yeah, so that's me. That's what I added recently, just to fix one bug we'll talk about. There's some configuration file, but I think there's a cache in it. Each cache. Yeah, for all loading, I think it loads and it cache mailboxes. Source main. In fact, the main pages can be found as JSP pages, as I said. So you will find exactly the same structures as we saw on the server into the web app. The web app with the web.xml file there. Okay. And for example, we can take some application. This application is Alcatel cellular extension, something like that. So it's more or less a voice menu, a telephony user interface menu for external call, I think, where you set a password and you can access internal functionalities, even if you are seen as external. That's what I heard. I've never seen the code, but okay. So if you're not familiar with GSP page, I will take one that is, we'll try to do one easy page, perhaps that one. This one is the clear. The clear is the color line identification restriction. That is a way to set up the clear. The clear is the way to hide your identity to the one you call, to the people you call, in fact. So in that page, which should be, I hope, easy to read, we will have a look. So GSP is XML tag page technology. So you can use some tags and you can embed, in fact, some Java code in it. So that's what we do. There are some dedicated tags to say declaration. We declare that we import, like in Java, some classes. That's the page import. So that's all the class we are going to use in that page. And we can even declare some tag libs, so tag extension, and we'll tell that they will have the prefix conv to differentiate them from the GSP normal tag. So there's this symbol, it's declaration. This is another tag that is used for implementing code, in fact, so you can define things. And the third one is that one. So each time this page is invoked, it does it gets the parameter from, then it converts to SIP address and so on. So that code is executed and it is stored as a global variable user, where now we escape from that code. This is escaping from that code, and we can play with all the GSP directive to change the behavior of that page depending the state of the variable. So if no user found from the from, so we can forward to another page, the error logout page, with a parameter which will be the TUI code. The TUI not authorized will make a link to the audio wave. So we can suppose that in the error logout hangout, we will generate a voice XML flow, and we will find the correct TUI message to play depending the locale of the user using that key. Okay. So escaping from GSP, we switch back to Java from here to here. So we can make some classical Java code saying that if the user is authorized, then we will, escaping Java, preparing the voice XML page. Voice XML needs a version to be told. I think 2.1 is the latest version. So voice XML, you will find documentation on the web that will describe it completely. You have to know that we use a specific version. We use some voice XML extensions that have been made, that have been developed by Genesis, the company, the former company that belonged to us, or we belong to them, I never know. So this extension, the voice XML, has been extended by them, and we will see on one example how they extend it. So this is voice XML saying just conf. Conf is, as I said, the extension of the tag we had. So we will have a look where it can be found. So it's more or less a block saying that the local lang, which is defined, where is it? Local. Where is the local lang? Back. Sorry. Yeah. So here we got the language by extracting from the gave me the locale of the user, in fact, for this session. So we have a user, we found the session of the user, give me the locale of this user. And Tomcat allows us to store variable, to store parameter into a kind of HTTP session, in fact. So we can, you will see a lot of put retrieve parameters into that session, especially when navigating from pages to pages. So sometimes it is passed as parameters if we want to send it to the media server, which is outside. But most of the time we will pass parameters as storing them into the user session, the Tomcat session. Oh, sorry. So we find the language of the user, so we can, depending the language of the user, if it already has a color line restriction applied, so we can deactivate it, and if not, we activate it. Just a toggle between the two. Identity hidden. Okay. So you can navigation in Eclipse, navigation between JSP page and to Java works more or less well. I can hold on. Oui, allô? Non, c'est pas Michel, c'est pas lui. D'accord. Non. Là, je suis dans le box, là, mais il n'a pas de sélection cet après-midi, je crois. Ouais. D'accord, rien. So excuse me, someone was calling. What I was saying, so this is more or less what I was saying. It's clear is user activated, so we will send context UI hidden chart. Okay, so go to next. Logout. Application color. Voice application logout. Logout gap. That's another page. So before logging out, that's the end of the page. Before logging out, we retrieve some data from the session. The session, well, there's several levels of storing data. There's a request, there's a session, or the application, depending what's the time to live you want for your parameter. So in that case, it's just a request. Once invoked, it is finished. So we retrieve it, and just before leaving, that's the logout, because the action has been made, we clean up the session. Okay, and I think we said goodbye, and that's it. If we come back to the clear, 1, 2, we can forward to clear param action CSP parameter. We can switch to the choice, so we get the digit. The choice. So the voice XML is quite easy to read without any documentation. So there's some menu. You can play a prompt. If you can't find any matching input, so you can count the input, and depending the input, you can decide which menu will be played. If there's no input, you can reprompt. That's the result is obvious, and you can decide whatever the actions. And as you can see, it's quite easy to read. The only thing that is not easy to read is the mix of Java and Java server page between a page. So where it is escaped or not, so that makes difficult to read, and that's the bad things of GSP and DAG language. If I go to choice, as I said, I've been forwarded to choice. We said that, for example, clear in 1, we want to choice number 1, we want to activate the color line identification restriction. So we are redirected to the choice GSP. So I suppose that we are retrieving the user from the session. This is the session. That is a Tomcat session. From that, we are then retrieving the clear. Has it been stored at param action? Yeah, hold on. Yeah, param action. Yeah. So So we retrieve the action, and if the action equals enable, which has the value, I suppose, 1. Hold on, go to definition. Can I go? Okay. That's navigating works, as I said, more or less well, so my Eclipse is no longer navigating. Param action enabled. Okay. So we just on the user set the clear active mode. Okay. So the action is done and that's finished. So depending the result, now we can send a voice XML message saying, well, if it has been set, we just say the text. Well, this is not. This is not the correct text. I will test if it say password change. It should be clear change, but yeah. I think they are reusing one text which said modification accepted for the password, which will save them re-recording a specific wave in all languages, just for saying that the color line identity restriction has been set. So they reuse the password change, I think. And I think they use exactly the same principle. So they use a key saying no mailbox, in fact, which will play your request has not been successful, just to save money, in fact, and not pay for re-recording of all the waves. So that voice XML flow is sent to the media server, and then the audio is played on your phone. Okay. So that's a simple application. Okay. If I go to see the classes, there's a taglib classes I would like to see. Where will it be? Classes. Okay, that's the configuration we'll talk about. That's the taglib TLD conf tag I would like to see. So we were looking for that tag, which is where is it? Conf prompt text. So somewhere there should be a class representing that taglibs. No. So hold on, I will find it. Tags, what is it? I saw it. Where is it? If it's not there, is this generated from the WebAuth? Hold on. Is that generated perhaps? WebAuth classes. Cocktail. I'm searching where the taglib is generated. I can't remember. No. Org. No. Bash tag. No. So I can't remember what it is. Sorry for that. Sorry for that. I can't remember. So this TLD, in fact, for me is generate a class which look more or less like this. So there should be one prompt text, or is it conf tag? Webinf TLD is conf tag. No, it's not in it. So okay, so I will check and come back to you with that. So that was the color line identification restriction application, which is, as I said, something simple. Of course, we are just looking at Java server page at the moment, but when we need some Java class, of course, we go in classical Java code. The user is inside voice app. The user is just there, okay. So on the user, which is quite classical, you will find all the common attributes that represent more or less what a user is in the CMS. I would say that it has a tendency to host more access than it has in CMS, because it's an easy way to retrieve a user and to perform an action on it. So for example, the user clear active, things like that. So it makes the action quite easy. Okay. So when the GSP page is calling set clear active here, so we just invoke the CMS. So we have an entity, and we just set on this entity and save it on the CMS. Okay. So that's all the user, the cache, that's the code, as I said. If we come back to other JSP page, what do I know? This one I don't know about. Color line we saw. This is the dynamic virtual assistant. So dynamic virtual assistant can be configured as a telephony prefix, where you have a kind of menu too. You can program a kind of menu. So you need to go to new configuration. Let's have a look. If I go to my administrative platform, come on.
It's demo effect.
Demo effect, yes. Or my platform is broken, or so that's all the telephony user interface number on our configure. If I remember, application, is that telephony or messaging? This is telephony settings, and this is vocal application, TUE application. That's where most of the voice application configuration, well, all the numbers are made. So each time you call that number, the media server will intercept the call and invoke the correct page on the voice application to retrieve the voice XML. So we program all the numbers there. So this is for the most common things, like the voicemail, of course. So voicemail, and there's a few things. I talked about the advanced seller. what else do we have here? Not much things. So as you can see, automatic attendant application can be found here. So you can associate a few numbers. So as they said, deprecated. So since as I said, automatic attendant is now outside. So that's the telephony user interface application, but there are more applications that can be found, for example, in telephony prefixes. So you have a whole set of numbers made for controlling your routing, so deciding of overflow on forward and things like that. The clear that we have just seen the page is there, so you can see that we can invoke this. And as I said, the attendant, and I think this is linked to the automatic attendant number, and you decide the menu and so on. So I have no knowledge on that point, so I won't talk much about this. Okay. Where else can we find configuration parts? That's more or less what we have. As we said, routing, but also join or leave a group for supervision, because I see here supervision somewhere. I saw supervision, user group, supervision group. So that's where we can control to join or to leave a supervision group. That's all we can do, I think, join or leave. So that's all for the configuration parameter for me. TUE global, so I don't know what it is. Telephony prefix and TUE application. Okay. Dynamic virtual assistant. Some exception. We saw that in Web XML there were some exception handlers, so I think they just make a more or less nice output. You can see it's a classical print writer to send the error message. Normally you make an HTML page with some red in it and so on. No, that's not what we have. And what else do we have? The greeting uploads, because you know that we can have we can manage all the greetings from there. This is a page for greeting. What else can I show you in that? We were talking about the routing management. So the routing management, I suppose the main, yes, more or less a main menu. In that menu, so we get the locale of the user from the session. So that means that we have before that authenticated the user. So there must be a filter intercepting us and requesting to identify the user if needed. So then we can invoke the routing management service, and this is directly, if I go the routing management, is directly, well, more or less directly, the go to definition. So we are more or less invoking that directly. That means we are using an invocation on on the web service. So as you can see, we are creating objects to access the web service directly. This is SOAP request object, classical SOAP request object, which is defined in Chameleon API. So we are invoking the routing management directly. The routing management, if we get back to the page, server page, where is the main menu? So we get an instance of that service, and depending what is requested for this, we set the correct page, so someone can choose, for example, what do you want to do? Do you want to which one is it? there, menu, current menu. Is that activating? Hold on, I'm reading. Prompt, choose settings, choose setting page. Input reprompt. So to select, so we can choose here in that page. The main page is to select the profile. If it's the profile, we go to key default profile, choose target, choice target, default profile, and so all the actions. So I suppose that choose destination number will make us some routing management access. What do we do on that? We set the destination number, so I suppose this is for the routing where we want to forward to a number. So we get the number from session parameter, or request parameter in that case, destination number, and we just set the forward to that number. Depending the result, we just produce a redirection to the correct page, so either logout with an error, or to the main menu to select another routing. Okay, forward. Forward is setting a routing forward, I suppose. Management. Okay. Okay, that's more or less well. I don't have many things to say on that subject, so sorry for that. But the most of the page are in the web app pages, so that's for the routing. Of course, the main functionality of the voice app is being the voicemail. So there's one login. The login is retrieving if the user has a voicemail or not. If he has no voicemail, we forward to the correct page saying no, you cannot do things like that. We check also if the user needs to change the password. Does it need to enter a TUI password or not? And depending the result, just forward to the correct page. If it has some extended absence message playing, so we can forward him to that page too. So we can suppose that here is set his extended absence. Okay. So retrieving it, we can select, we can play the recorded absence. Okay. If you see that options somewhere on the custom tag Wave or TTS, you have to keep in mind that voice app is a very old component. It's a very old application, and a long time ago, well, several years, all the wave was stored in TTS, text to speech, which was played by the media server, which was called Nuance, as far as I remember, for which we pay quite a huge price, a huge license. So it has been decided to save money. I'm sure I talked about that in audio wave transfer. It has been decided to switch to Wave to save money, but for Wave we have to register to re-record in a studio, which costs a bit of money too. So I can't say which is the cheaper solution, but the good thing is standard wave. TTS would have allowed us just to enter the text and it will be played, but without any possibility to play on the kind of voice. Well, not much, in fact. So if you see that it's today it's always wave. Okay, when it's say wave or TTS, it's always wave that we choose. Okay, so navigation between pages, the greeting menu, selecting your greetings. That's all the menu you will see if you access the mailbox on press 4. I think it's press 4. You will see if you want to select your personal greeting. Okay. That's all navigation through DTMF code. Okay. So if you remember all the user preference things, we user preference plugin, so we will retrieve all the greetings, and in fact this will go directly either to the mailbox, or we have a greeting plugin also, and this one is accessing the user preference plugin directly. Okay. What else can we say on that? Review message, send messages, so you can have all the voice messages menu. Send menu, sending a message to someone if you want to record, things like that. So there must be a record page too. Okay. Routing management script, and that's all. Transfer, Voice IT is an old application. Don't know if it is still used. That the trees, I think it's the tree for automatic attendance. So I'm not specialized in this. So I think there's a tree menu of input states that can be used. Since it is no longer in it, I won't speak about that. Where can we go? We can go on the platform directly, having a look to where we can debug it. Logs, it's inside the main Tomcat, and you will find the voice application logs. So there's more or less only one or two logs file. The big one is the VA trace log, which can get, as I said, quite big. This is that one. We can try to have a look in it. It doesn't look like being in debug. Yes, it is. Okay. So I propose to make some test. If I start one of my tools, just to call the voice mailbox, for example. So let's say I have one user. Then I can have another user, B2. Up. Let's say that B2 wants to call B2. I will put 010. We will put a tail on that log file. Okay, hold on. Get Tomcats voice. Where is that voice? Voice application VA trace.log. Okay, so now I can make my call from B2 to A2. Oh, why? Oh, sorry. Make call, sorry, from my desk phone to A2. Better. And now I can redirect to voicemail. Okay. So at the moment we see that B2 is in interaction with my voicemail. Okay. So if we go inside voice application, so inside voice application, we will see that we have generated some voice XML. As you can see, we are using the extension, so XML version .12, but with all the voice XML extension of coming from Genesis. We are setting some environment variable, so that's the from that we will retrieve on the other side. Some injection of JavaScript, and the voice XML is just saying that. Shall I take that bit? From customer app mode, next charging, next submit. So we are passing a lot of parameters, the caller IDs and so on. Some session tag also, session ID. Okay. And I would love to show more a few more things on this kind of session. So after a while, well, we should see more things because I'm not interacting with my phone, so I should have a phone to interact with this. So we're loading all the user, retrieving the user, and after a while we forward to record. We forward the page to record forwarded call. We check that the user is allowed to make a deposit of a message, and we will then receive something saying that a kind of goodbye. So if I retrieve it, I suppose that we'll receive the goodbye page after a while, disconnecting from the session. Leave message. Up. So there's quite a lot of information in it. I'm expecting some information also being logged. No, okay. Hold on, I will put. So to debug voice XML, so you can debug it in voice application, but the best way is to go on the other side. Let me check for a few seconds what I have found to debug. Hold on. I'm checking something just to debug on AMS side. Tools. I can't find it for the moment. My idea was to go to the AMS side and to see the log for voice XML message. The log of AMS is somewhere. Is that media control? I think it's media control. And the media control logs, you should see clear. Is that error warning only? So there's a way to set that log in debug, so I can't find it at the moment. So hold on. No, I can't find it. Support. CR. I'm just looking to a way to activate AMS logs. Someone show me how to do that. Well, I can't find out where it is at the moment. And it will print the complete voice XML message received by AMS. So that will be useful to debug a voice application. So I will send you how to do that, and how to print that kind of voice XML message inside. Okay. What else can I say? If I go back now to the repository, voice application repository, what have we done on it? As you can see, we are still in 12 edition. So I made a fix 2 months ago, because in the greeting management pages, GSP pages, I think the exit was not correctly managed. So it's in absence, leave message, absence mode. I come back, leave message, absence mode. Leave message, greeting management, greeting management, can't find it. Leave message, absence mode. So I made a fix in that just because because they wanted so if no deposit of message was allowed, this can be configured, of course. If no deposit of message was allowed, the problem was that if you do nothing, you will still propose to leave a message. So I think the redirection of the page was not good. So it was saying that forwarding to the wrong page, in fact. So I just put that in command and add that forwarding to the ending, and that's all I did, in fact. Okay, that's a fix. You just need to debug and see where the navigation between pages is made, see which data are needed, and that's all I did. So quite easy modification. Another modification a bit bigger I did is the spelling in French Canadian. As I said to you when we had transfer on audio wave, in most cases, in most countries, in most languages, digits are played one by one. But in some cases, like for example the French, we like to play the digit 2 by 2 when it is possible. For example, we prefer saying 20 instead of saying 20 when the number is big enough, in fact. Okay. This is so this is French exception, and I think Danish exception also. But of course, there's an exception. The exception is that the Canadian, the ones speaking French, are not doing that way. So they are spelling digit per digit. So I had to add an exception rule just for them. So there's a class dedicated to all the wave management, which is wave utils, which can be found wave utils is wave TUE utils. So that's all the digits. That's where we load also the waves. That's where you get access to the wave from the repository, the wave repository, which is audio wave. So a lot of actions. We check that, I think you will see my modification. Yeah, that's part of my modification. So we are getting localized phone number. So that will generate a voice XML flow, in fact, including all the wave files reference by that we need to reference in it, and to generate that XML flow, in fact, we just look at the locale of the user, depending if it is one of the exception rules. So they were written in green there. If it was French or Danish, we were taking just the phone number 2 digits by 2 digits. So I just made the modification to get the configuration data from a file. And if I found an entry, I can find the minimum length and the number of digits, the minimum length starting from which we play digit by digit, or where there's an exception rule. So the number of digits is loaded and the minimum length is loaded for the given locale. And the given locale is loaded from WebInf configuration classes. Where is that? Can't remember. Where is that? No. Where is it? Source classes. Hold on. Where's my configuration file? Team. History. Okay. That's source main resource config, source main resource configuration. Yeah, voice mail properties. That's the two things I added. I added this kind of things. So yeah, if I find an entry for the given locale, the locale is specified there. I know there's a spell digit exception, and it starts when the number is at least that size, and for that case we play 2 digits. And the default behavior just play one by one. So that's the modification I made. Just load that key, and if we have an exception, just get the format, or otherwise play one by one. So that's more or less an easy modification too. Okay. What else have we done on that voice application? The other modification, it's not me, it's Jean-Yves Plassard who made it. At the moment, you know there's a tool called DLA, which is dynamic log activation. So it is supposed to be an entry point for setting the logs for a given feature. I think we can access it from here. DLA. So it's a menu. I think they made a kind of ncurse menu. So you can choose to activate the logs, and you choose the feature. For which feature do you want to activate the log, and so on and so on. Okay. Have you already seen that? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Okay. And the problem is that the configuration of that is controlled by a file called config.xml, and it lists for the features all the components that you need to activate, and it's not working well for voice application because voice application has switched from Logger for Log4j to which is the Logger now? I can't remember. Logstash or SLF4j. The Logger is SLF4j, I think. So since they changed the Logger, calling it from DLA is no longer working. So you have to be aware of that. If you ask people to get voice application log at the moment for support or for searching for a bug, DLA perhaps is not working fine. So that's why I think my colleague Jean-Yves has decided to remove it temporarily from voice application. So yeah, we were using a kind of servlet in the same way we do for Chameleon. So as you've seen Chameleon, you can go API /log, I think it's log4j admin. Okay, you provide an administrator account. So this page, which was supposed to be the same in the voice application component, is no longer working because this one is making quite an intensive use of log4j, and since they switched a logging system, I think it's no longer working, and this is why my colleague has removed that servlet. So I can't say more about that, but it has been deactivated. So you should ask the log in a classical way, perhaps. Okay, and that's all the evolution we made in the voice application. So as you can see, I'm not have a huge skill on it, just the basic, and I'm just trying to activate logs and to follow where it comes from. You just need to be aware of the interaction between media server, the voice XML flow that we send there, how we access the configuration through CMS, and that's all I can say on that. Okay. I don't have much more to say on voice application. If you have questions, as you can see, there's a lot of application in it that I don't know how it works. In fact, I'm just focusing on the bug I have fixed in it. That's all.
But one question: why do we use dedicated Tomcat instance?
Must be for historical reason. I think it's coming a long time ago from ICS, that the product before OpenTouch. I think they were a dedicated Tomcat for Chameleon, or the equivalent of Chameleon. So I think they decided to split it into two Tomcat. I can't say more precisely if there were any technical reason for that. I can't say. Just because perhaps it's easy to maintain, or to face load, to anticipate any load problem. So I can't say.
Okay.
Okay. You perhaps I'm sure you Michel show you that you can debug the Chameleon web application directly from your computer, from your development environment, by doing where is it? I think it's where is it? Hold on. You can run. You can attach your process remotely to the server. Where is it? It's not there. Hold on. No. Yeah. No. Where is it? Okay. Hold on. This is not where I can find it. Where is it? Where is it? No. Where is that? That's it. Yeah. So you know from your personal computer, from your development environment, I don't know, like I say, there's a way to remote debug Chameleon by setting a socket connection to the remote JVM. So you just need to specify a port, and that's all. It will attach the process to the remote server. The only things you need is to have the same code on your local computer and on the remote server, and you need to set a listening port on the server. So if I go to OpenTouch web application, the Chameleon, so there's a Tomcat function there where you can add, please start the JVM by listening to that port with that kind of option for debugging. Okay, so that will allow you to run your Chameleon core from the Eclipse and to debug it. I suppose, I'm not sure, but I suppose, I've never tested, that you can do the same with the voice application. The only thing is to find what is it? Okay, hold on. I think it's in platform Tomcat variable. So I suppose if you add the same here, you should be able to do the same. That is to say, to debug the voice application from your local environment. Okay? I've never tested for voice application. I tested with Chameleon, but I've never tested for...
Okay, I'll try.
Okay, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I don't have other things to say on voice application. If you have any question, that's okay for me.
Nothing for me?
Nothing? So not much skill on the subject, sorry.
Okay.
If we go to see the documentation, sorry, hold on, just the documentation I've put on my sharing. No, new. That's not where I want to go. Hold on. Where is it? Where can I go? Where can I go back to my OneDrive? That's the transfer. So there's a lot of documentation, as I say, that I put in that folder. So things dedicated to voice application. There's one folder coming from the previous transfer we made. You will find a few documentation on Voice XML. Okay, so there's Voice XML documentation there. Coming from Genesis. So I had to fight quite a lot to. It's me who put that there. So I had to fight quite a lot to retrieve it from Genesis. So because the support side has changed, so this will explain. It will explain most common Voice XML feature and the extra bits they added on the Voice XML property. I had a request from one customer who asked me about a specific Genesis option, which is the which is the min time. Not confined here. GVP min time. No. Hold on. If it's not that one, perhaps that one. Could be that one, yeah. I'm sure it is in one of the two documents, but I'm not sure I can search on the SharePoint version of this. So it looks like an attribute. Hold on, I'm going to search locally. I have that locally, so hold on, work. Infra, voice app, GVP. This is the same version, but wow.
Patrick,
yes.
maybe you spell wrong. Min me a no.
No, it's minimum time. No,
minimum.
Yeah, it's minimum time. So anyway, I'm just looking for something saying that. Hold on, Control F. Min time. Next, please. 1,000 pages? No. Yeah, found it. So when Voice XML flow is sent to AMS is using some Genesis extension, and one of the customer asked about this option. So the maximum recording time for record is specified in the parameter. You will find it in WebAdmin application, but the minimum time is not specified. The minimum time has been decided to be something like 200 milliseconds. So if you make a record under 200 milliseconds, it will not be taken in account by the AMS media server. So there, the minimum time has been added by Genesis just to take this into account. So the question of the customer was about what's the limit, what's the value possible for that min time. So I answered them. So I spent quite a lot finding the good documentation for that. Okay. Which documentation do we have? We will retrieve all the tools to migrate the voicemail, the greeting. A few notes on the things, the way to debug. And very old transfer document from US to Ilkirch, where you find things I don't know about dynamic virtual assistant and Alcatel cellular extension, the list of documents, and so I don't know much about that. We'll try to make the test. As I said, the test on voice app, I can't say much. There's the project called MCT, which contains, so I think they try to do something on it. But as I said, it's a project and I'm not sure it is maintained. I just had to make some modification to compile it. If you can see it, it's there. And we already had a look to that. It's feature-oriented test, which is good. It's outside the component. It's a dedicated project. And it has some voice application test, I think. QA, voice application controller, that's a test, all the messaging, and so on. So, okay. This is, I suppose, all the load tests for messaging. Perhaps you will find some voice application things too. So that was the test strategy that has not really completely implemented on the side. What else can I say? That's more or less what I wanted to say. The other document, email, we saw all that greeting, voice application RSD. So that must be the document you should have a look. So the complete sequence diagram for voice application is huge and very complex because it involves quite a lot of components. If you start by IMS, going to mask, and then going to VMMC, which goes to voice application, then voice applications will interact with the media server. The media server will make SIP session initiation to the mule SIP server. There's also the mule stub that will deal with some requests for voicemail. So there's an awful lot of components, and the sequence to follow is not easy. So I wish you got good luck on the subject. But if you try to eliminate where the problem's coming from, that should be all right. So more or less a few diagrams. It explained the interaction between media server and, can I put it more? Bit more. That's a few diagram sequence, but very high level. So the real diagram of sequence diagram is very, very, very huge, as I said. So yeah. It starts a few things like that, so you will see some interaction. They haven't put there's a huge sequence diagram explaining all, which you can't read, in fact. It's too huge. I can't find it. Okay, and that's more or less what we can explain. Also replacing TTS by wave, and that's all. That's all for me on the subject. Do you have any question?
No question from me.
Okay. Okay. Pavel, do you want to have a look after that to make a kind of rainbow session on screen sharing to see the problem you had?
Pavel is listening another session.
Pardon?
Pavel is listening another session.
Okay. Okay, okay. So because we exchanged a few mails concerning a CR, a bug. He wants to have some investigation on it. So, well, I will get in touch with him.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for listening. If
Okay.
you have any question by
Thank you,
mail,
Mhm.
okay.
Thank you. Bye, Patrick.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye. Don't
Bye-bye.
hesitate if you
Okay.
have any question. Bye.
Mhm.
Okay, see you.
Bye.
Bye.